Having now reviewed what we know about arguments, what makes up the argument, what the definition of argument is, and what the components are, premises, conclusions. We talked about logic, we talked about reason earlier in the course. Now what we're trying to do is drill down a little bit on getting a firm grasp on what characteristics make something a good argument. And the way to proceed, or a good way to proceed, is by looking at a few examples of good arguments. And let's take a look at this one. First example, classic. Socrates is a man, and all men are mortal. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. Convincing argument. Sounds good, I think. What do you guys think? Makes sense? All men are mortal, Socrates is a man, Socrates is mortal. I just turned a few things, changed the order of a few of the premises, but I think you see a good example of an argument that sounds like a really good one. Maybe a boring one, but an example of a good argument. Let's take a look at another one. All communists admire Karl Marx. Ronald Reagan did not admire Karl Marx, therefore Ronald Reagan was not a communist. A little bit of a joke, my picking Ronald Reagan. Some of you who are students of history might know this, but Ronald Reagan was the President of the United States under whose presidency the Communist Soviet Union fell. So, a little bit of a joke, but you see, again, really good, solid argument. Let's take a look at one more example. Since all dogs are mammal, and all mammals are, since all dogs are mammals, and all mammals are warm-blooded, all dogs are warm-blooded. Once again, sounds like a really good argument. Now, why don't you pause the video a second? Take a look at these three things. What is it that they have in common? Why do we think that these are examples of good arguments? And when you're ready to go, press the play button and we'll move on. Now that you've thought about this for a few minutes, think, what makes these good arguments? We see clearly they're arguments. They all have a point. In the first one, the point is we're trying to get to is that Socrates is mortal, and we have reasons. Two reasons for saying it, right? Socrates is a man, and all men are mortal. Second example, we're getting to the point that Ronald Reagan wasn't a communist. All communists admire Karl Marx. For those of you who don't know it, Karl Marx was the political philosopher who first defined and advocated communism. Ronald Reagan did not admire Karl Marx. Therefore, the point, he wasn't a communist. And the last one, again, the point is all dogs are warm-blooded. How or what reasons do we have for thinking that? Well, all dogs are mammals. All mammals are warm-blooded. But then, three good arguments. What makes them good arguments? What criteria are we going to use to evaluate it? What an argument? How do we decide whether or not the argument is a good one? Now in a second we're going to turn to looking at how we're going to go about evaluating arguments like these and other arguments. There are a certain set of standards that we are going to follow.